Hey everybody, I'm John, and this is the Secret Base Radio Music Program. Oh man, that was satisfying. For the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to play some of my favorite tracks I've ever selected in Secret Base projects across my history of making videos here. And although I don't want to step on the music too much, I am going to try and pop in with a little bit of commentary here and there. First up, the late, great Jeff Bastow. You may have heard his stuff in SpongeBob SquarePants or check it out with Steve Brule. Here he is with a track I used in the Bob Emergency way back in 2019. It is called Communique. A lot of times I'll pick a song because it's got some kind of sting or drop that works as a perfect transition that I just really love. I'll sometimes even write the entire script around making sure the sting really hits, especially when it's as good as this one. Over the last 8 years or so, I've been gradually building this big library of tracks on my hard drive. I think the folder has about 700 tracks in it at this point, and I played the folder so often that I know them like the back of my hand. But the thing is, I accidentally dropped Communique in the wrong folder at some point. I don't know when or why I did that, but since it wasn't in my go-to library, I've never used it since. It just never popped up, and I never thought about it. And I just, like at random, rediscovered it a few weeks ago. So now that I found it again, this is an amazing track. I gotta use it again. So as long as we're talking about stings, I'm going to keep the theme going with Starfighter by Pete Kelly. This one is from 1978. I don't really feel bad about stepping on the first minute or so. It's not bad or anything. It's just kind of ordinary. So the deal is, we at Secret Base have access to the APM music catalog. This is not a plug for APM. They're not paying us for this. I just need you to know that there is endless and infinite treasure in that catalog. Just endless oceans of wild and eccentric music that sounds like almost nothing else like I've ever heard. Recorded by production musicians who are legends, to me at least, not to the wider world, but they sure are to me. I haven't really been able to dig up much about this guy, Pete Kelly. He is only credited on 15 APM tracks. That's a lot fewer than a lot of my other favorites. In fact, this song, Starfighter, it's actually still registered in the APM archive under a typo. It's in the APM library as Statfighter, which is great. I can't shake the feeling that if I hadn't been lucky enough to find tracks like this one, they might never have been used again. Anyway, I've used this track a couple of times, including as Jamario Moon's theme music in The People You're Paying to Be in Shorts, which is a documentary project, a feature-length doc that we made in 2022. It is straight up like one of my favorite projects I have ever been a part of. It's one of the things I'm very proudest of, and the project that, looking back, I would change the least amount about. I mean, I just loved it. Anyway, Jamario Moon is one of my favorite players we've ever covered, and this is one of my favorite drops, so of course I had to save it for Jamario. Let's keep the vintage theme going with Roundup by Pierre Dutour. It was released in 1981, and it perfects the synth and horn shit I absolutely love from the production music of this era. Enjoy. I am pretty sure I've only used this one once. I used it in last year's documentary Reform for the scene when Ross Perot refuses to provide any support to his heir apparent Jesse Ventura. I've never used it since, I'm pretty sure, but I definitely will. What I love is that it's very, very consistent throughout. It doesn't really switch anything up. It just it doesn't even really build that much. It's just very, very level throughout the entire thing. It just delivers that reliable sort of like horn, pop or whatever. I'm bad at describing music. But yeah, I love that it is so consistent, which makes it so easy to place and so versatile. So we've been hanging out in the 70s and 80s for a while. Let's go ahead and change it up to something more contemporary. I found this one a couple of months ago, and I'm going to be using it for the first time ever in the first episode of Scorigami, which, by the way, Alex Rubenstein and I are making that right now. I am really, really excited about it. I really think that y'all are going to love it. Since you're on Patreon, y'all are going to get this first, months and months before the YouTube audience gets it. But yeah, really, really hope you like it. Anyway, this track is called Maybe Semiconductors by Malik Amir. Yeah, this one thumps. I love it. But let's go ahead and brighten things up a little bit. Here is some 1980s corporate easy listening from, you guessed it, Keith Mansfield, the God. That's A Life in the Sun there from one of Mansfield's masterwork albums, Rich and Famous. A fun little Easter egg that I thought was really funny. If you go and look up Mansfield's album art for Rich and Famous, just search Rich and Famous Keith Mansfield, look at the album art, and then look at the album art for Beck's album Hyperspace. It is impossible not to believe that Beck just straight up took inspiration from this like super obscure album art that like probably 8 people on earth had ever seen. I love that. Next up, Slow Dive from Dieter Reich's unforgettable 1987 album Power Plant. I like this one because it starts as optimistic corporate core. And then it drops into, I don't know, minor key. That's probably not right. Again, I'm sorry, I suck at describing or talking about music. Whatever. Here's what I'm talking about. It's great for any occasion in which I want to tell a story that at first seems happy, but then gets a little bit less so. Like if a coach is hired, but then he goes 4-12, or he says something really dumb. There are endless stories we run into that follow that mold. Tracks like this one are tough to time right for that effect, but when I do, it's worth it. To me, at least. I'm honestly not sure how many people notice little things like that, but I think they're worth doing, you know, because, like, let's be honest, my production quality is somewhere south of professional, let's say. I export at 1080p. I have tried to get better at balancing audio, but as I'm sure y'all can attest, I still have work to be done in that department. I really am trying my best, and I'm trying to keep tracks from not being too quiet or too loud or whatever. Doing my best over here, trying to get better every single day, right? In terms of my video, the 3D models sometimes flicker. There's what's called Z fighting, where it just it's this weird kind of janky flicker to it that I try to minimize, but it's still there. This is the kind of stuff that I have to be cool with, because I can't be a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist. If I were, it would drive me crazy and I would never finish a video because of just like little things like that. I just have to be cool with it. But I still kind of feel like I need to make up the difference somehow. You know, if I can't deliver you total professional quality, I need to make up the difference by, doing certain things really, really carefully and really intentionally and really ambitiously, including like little things like making sure the music kind of feels and pops exactly right. Maybe in a way you don't even really notice that much or think about. But that's, I don't know. I guess it's the production equivalent of Kill 'Em with Kindness. Like, yeah, maybe it's not professional quality. At least I tried really hard, right? Next up is a selection from the 1987 album Fresh and Crazy. This one is called Love To No Can by John Devereaux and Andy Clark. I've used a few other tracks from this album before, but never this one. You're probably going to be able to hear why. It just has too many stops and pivots. It's too confusing. It does too much different stuff. It's probably perfect for some really specific little narrative turn of events that's out there somewhere, but I have never found what it is. There are individual pieces of it that I like, though, and I thought I'd drop this to just give you an example of tracks that I like and I see value in, but I probably will never be able to use. I'm going to stay on that album fresh and crazy with this one called Blue Eyed Boy. It is total cheese, absolute frictionless plastic. Sometimes that's exactly what I need, though. I used this one for the Kirk Cousins theme music in the history of the Minnesota Vikings. I thought it was perfect for him because it's so corny to the point of being off-putting, but it's still ultimately optimistic and pleasant, like Cousins is, right? Over the course of Kirk Cousins' story, I went from being annoyed by this guy to still being annoyed, but feeling a sense of empathy and appreciation toward him. Good old Kirk. All right, enough of the cheese. I don't want you to tune out. Next up is a track that I genuinely really do like. And whenever we do a live premiere on YouTube, there's been a couple of times when this track is played under a story and the chat always pops. They're like, what is this song? I love this. It's super cool. It's called Shades by Trevor Bastow. Remember Jeff Bastow, who composed the first track I played, Communique? This is his brother. Up next is one of the greatest tracks I have ever found in the APM music library. It's by Brian Bennett, who is in the top echelon of production music legends. I refuse to step on this one at all. It's from 1974 and it's titled Image. I love it so much that it is the only track I've ever used twice in the same project. I dropped it in the second episode of Vikings to commemorate Fred Cox's invention of the Nerf football, and then I did it again as the closing theme to the whole project. Enjoy. Beautiful piece of music there by Bennett, who again is one of the greatest catalog musicians to ever do it. In fact, you know what? Let's stay on Bennett. Here's another one from Brian Bennett. This might be his most recognized track. It is called Channel 9 Cricket. I used Channel 9 Cricket in a video about football, not cricket. I saved it for Randy Moss, who so transcended football that it seemed like he was playing a different sport. You know, it felt right. All right, I got a couple of tracks left for y'all. As long as we're on Brian Bennett, let's stay on Brian Bennett. This one's called We Come in Peace. It is from one of the classic KBM Greensleeves. Those are the albums with this like really minimalist, super cool album art that's just solid green except for the KPM logo. It's a symbol of quality and quite often of horns that really, really pop. Here you go. So I asked myself, what do the people want my last track to be? What should I play us all off with? And I realized that most of y'all would probably answer Style City by Keith Mansfield. So let's do it. First I'm going to play the Sting version of the track that lasts like 30 seconds. I'll go ahead and play that here. And yes, this is the Aw Dang It music. And I'll send us off here with the full version of the track from Mansfield. Enjoy the smooth jazz, which other people tend to enjoy completely ironically, but that I must admit I actually do really genuinely enjoy on its own merits. I might just be incredibly easy to please. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these 40 minutes or so. I had a lot of fun dropping some tracks. If y'all enjoy this one enough, I might do another one of these, because like I said, I've got hundreds and hundreds of more tracks, lots and lots of buried treasure and good stuff. So I hope you like this, and if you do, let me know, and I'll do one again sometime. But for now, I'm John, and this has been the Secret Base Radio Music Program. Love y'all.